so we've had the family farm in the family since the 1860s. And yeah, so there's been like, I think 6 generations of us out there. So 2023, on Mother's Day, my wife wanted to go out there to the farm and try and see if there was any morel mushrooms still. And I said, all right. So I asked my dad, hey, you know where any's at? He said, yeah, go behind Jerry's place. There's those woods over there. He's like, if there is any, they'll be over there along where the fallen trees are. I said, okay. So we parked over there and we went, and you got to walk, like you walk to the backyard, and then where the backyard ends, it's kind of overgrown weeds about chest high and everything. There's a pond over there to the right. Well, you go through the overgrown weeds, you come out to a field, and it had been recently disked, probably within like the last week or two, and getting ready for planting season. And my son, he was 8 at the time. He was like, hey, Dad, I see some foot tracks over here. And I was like, oh, great. Thinking, somebody had been out there, that wasn't supposed to be or whatever, So get up there and I see the tracks. They were massive. They were cutting the corner of the field closest to where the pond is and going into the woods, same direction we were headed. Now, these tracks, they weren't brand new. They were probably 3-4 days old, I'd say. I've sent the picture of them to Lon Strickler, and that's what he thought as well. But I ran back to the car and grabbed my tape measure because I wear a size 13, and I put my foot next to it, and it was way bigger than my foot. So I measured it out. It was 18 inches long by 5.5 inches wide. So that was a pretty big foot. And like I said, it was a set cutting the corner of the field there. And what was really strange too about that area was that there was a deer carcass that was picked clean, but it was ripped in half. You literally had the back half closer to when you first get into the field, and then the front half was more closer to the area of the woods. There's about maybe 20-30 feet between them. And the only thing that had any kind of fur or anything on it was the front hooves, or the front legs, going from like the hoof to like what I'd call like the knee. That was weird. And it wasn't like coyotes did it or anything like that, because I've lived out on the farm most of my life. A coyote kill, bones are always scattered. This was, here's the back half over here, here's the front half over there. So that's weird, But, at the same time, it's like, well, something strong with hands had to do it. I don't see it being really anything else and leaving it intact like that was. In 2024, my grandpa, he was battling dementia. He's since passed away. But my dad, he was out on the farm at his house, and he said, hey, bring Pop out to the farm and drop him off for me if you would. I was like, okay. So me and my youngest, he was 3 at the time, we go and pick up my grandpa, and we head out to the farm. So once you get to the road that takes you to our farm, because it's all back roads out there to get there, you go and you'll cross the creek, which is called Pond Creek. Anytime I'm driving out there, I'm always looking around for anything, be it, deer, anybody that's not supposed to be out there, because we're super protective of the land. But went across the bridge, and I caught movement to my right. So I looked over, and about roughly 65 to 80 yards at the most, right there in the middle of the field, broad daylight. It was like 3:15 in the afternoon, beautiful sunny day. There was this great big black, like jet black creature bent over, because the way the field is whenever it's coming from the creek to about the middle of the field, it's flat. But then from there's a hill that starts. So it was right there at the bottom of the hillside digging into it. And what was really strange was the digging, because it was just going in there and ripping out and just throwing dirt back like it was nothing. And that's what caught my attention, was the arm. And this arm, wow, it was take your arm length, add another arm, or another half an arm, and that's how long it looked from that distance. And whenever I didn't get to see the face, really wish I could have, but It was muscular, but it wasn't built like Patty, because whenever it heard the car, it stood up and started to walk like further south, like away from the road and everything, so it kept its back to me. But the build on this thing was not like Patty from the Patterson-Gimlin film. This was more of, if you've ever heard of or seen the Sam Elliott movie called The Man Who Killed Hitler, and then the Bigfoot in that movie, how it was built, that's what this one looked like build wise. More of that leaner, like swimmer's body build, where it's still muscular, but it's not like the big hulking massiveness. And I mean, still from that distance, this thing was big. Like I ain't downplaying the size or nothing. It just wasn't what I expected to see. And so that was pretty wild. So the whole sighting lasted a max of 5 seconds, just because the hill and more woods and everything right there. So I dropped my grandpa off at my dad's, because from there to where dad's is only about a quarter mile at the most. And I dropped him off there, told dad, hey, I saw something really big in the field, and it was really big and black. And he was like, okay. And I'm like, really big, like, you know. And he's just like, oh, okay. So I hurried up, got back in the car, went down there. Of course, didn't see it again. My guess on that, though, like where it went, because if it kept going south, there's a small set of trees, and then there's another field behind that. But then behind that field is about 2 or 3 miles worth of just woods and no road crossing through or anything. So it could have went anywhere if it went that far into that area. So that was pretty wild. So I get home, tell my wife about what I saw, and she was like, well, you're going back out there tomorrow. She's like, we're going to go out there and see if we can't find any evidence. So it rained that night, which sucked. But whenever we went the next day, she stayed in the car with the kids, and I walked out. And whenever I was getting to where I thought it was, I mean, keep in mind, you know, it did rain. We're talking about a hillside and everything going in there, water, all that stuff, mud. So whenever I finally found the area where it was at, because I did find it, I found where it was digging, and I found the footprints of where it was at. Even found what looked kind of like where you could see the hand, like where it would go in there to dig. You could kind of see where it had pulled back dirt and all that. But like I said, with the rain and everything, the prints were mostly filled in just from the mud, but you could still make them out clear as day. They just weren't, you couldn't tell how deep down they went. And the hole, I could still fit my hand into the hole, even though it looked like in the back of it, it had kind of collapsed down a little bit. So I'm not sure how big the hole originally was from the day before, but it was pretty neat. And so I've taken pictures and everything, and my wife told me that whenever I was standing there looking around trying to figure out what it was, and then I found it, she said she could barely see me from the road as it was standing. And when I bent down to take the pictures, she lost sight of me completely. Keep in mind, when I was in my car on the road and I saw it bent over, I saw probably mid-thigh up to the top of its head. And that was with it bent over. Me standing, she could barely see me, she said. So we're talking about a big creature out there. And then I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, where did this thing come from? Because, you know, the way the sunlight was hitting it, I couldn't tell if it was wet or if it just had like a shine or a sheen like a horse's coat does, you know, when the sun hits it just right, how it kind of shines. So I was thinking, well, maybe it came from the creek. And I'm looking around, kind of looking at the prints and everything, because there was a decent stride on the prints. And the way it looked is it was coming from the creek. So I walk over there and I'm trying to figure out, you know, okay, well, you know, where, because I'm looking for all the signs. People always say, you know, look for X's, things like that. You know, I didn't see any of that, but I did see what I thought was a pretty good size opening, wide, like shoulder width wise, wide opening where something had been going through a bunch. So I went into that, and about 10 feet up on a tree, I found a tree branch broken, but it wasn't just broken down. It was broken down and twisted around like 2 or 3 times. So that tells me that was done with intention. Something that was strong and had a long enough arm to reach up there and grab that and pull it down. So then I was talking to this guy I've been friends with for a few years. He makes documentary films and just like cool documentaries for his YouTube channel. His name's Joe Turry. And I was like, hey, man, so I've got this going on out here. And he was like, really? I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, because he did a documentary about the Big Muddy Monster in Murfreesboro, Illinois, which it happened back in like, I think 73, 72, something like that. But it was a Bigfoot that people were seeing over the course of like a week or two. So he came down, and that was in 2025 whenever he came down. So now we're jumping to 2025 current. So he comes out, and I show him where, everything happened, because he wanted to do like a on the scene interview and then like a daytime investigation. And so I showed him where it was. I showed him the pictures and everything, sent them to him so he could use them on the film. And we did all that. Uneventful that day, other than just getting the thing shot, So he was like, hey, we're going to do a full-fledged documentary. I was like, okay. Okay, yeah, sure, why not? So him and one of his cameramen and his buddy Jason, who's a good guy, that's like his research partner, they came out and we reshot all the interviews. And we were also going to interview my wife, because my grandma told her some more stories whenever she was alive, because whenever Amber was pregnant with our youngest, grandma used to come and sit with her and help with the other two kids, and that way she didn't have to do it while she was pregnant. And so she knew some stuff that I didn't know. And so Joe wanted to make sure and get those stories on it as well. So we're sitting there and doing all that. And we get ready to do Amber's interview. And we were going to do like a nighttime, have like a little fire going, kind of like a fireside chat, and do her interview. So we got everything set up, and then we're going back over to where I guess you call it base camp or whatever. It was just where the truck was parked. But we went over there, and we were getting everything together as far as like equipment wise. And so we go to back out, and as we're backing out, me and the cameraman, who is a total skeptic. I've always believed. I've always thought it was possible. I didn't quite think it was possible in my area, just because you didn't really hear about it here. More so, Pacific Northwest and the Appalachian Mountains, if anything. But we go to pull out, and me and him are on the tailgate. And the tailgate, whenever they pulled out, was looking down that hill I told you about earlier. Right there, smack dab in the middle of the road, we see this big, tall, solid black, built just like what I seen before, right there in the middle of the road, down by the bridge, looking at us. Now this, like I said, this is probably about a quarter mile away from where the bridge is, where it was standing at, to where we were at. But you could tell, just by the sheer height of it, this was not a person. Because he even was like, is that a person down there? I'm like, there's nobody out here. I'm like, where our farm is, like, there's the only neighbor we have is the other way. And those people, I never see them. So we go, and, me and him were talking, and it was funny because we didn't say nothing at that time about seeing it, because we were just kind of like confirming to each other that we saw, what was standing there. And the way too that it was standing, it wasn't standing aggressively, even though it was at like full attention. It was kind of leaning a little bit to its left. So it was like, to me, what that told me was it was curious. Like, it was trying to figure out if we were coming down to it, or if we were going the opposite direction. Like, if it needed to hurry up and go hide, or if it was all right. And so whenever we get over to where we're going to do Amber's interview, me and him tell Joe and Jason, like, hey, we just saw it. Of course, they got mad at us, because they're like, why didn't you say something? Hit the truck or something like that. It's like, dude, I wasn't even thinking about anything other than, are you seeing this? Because like that was the wildest part to me, was like, holy crap, not only have I seen one once, now I'm seeing it twice. And that was just wild, you know, because like to see it one time in a person's lifetime is like, you got better odds of winning this Powerball that's going on right now. And then to get to see it twice, like, and a lot of people, you know, they always be like, oh yeah, he saw it twice. Sure, it's on his farm. Lucky him. Like, I can't help where it's at. You know, it's like, the only good thing about all this, I can't get run off my research area because I own it.